Boys and girls, welcome to the Optional Skate, Daisy Yours flagship hockey podcast. My name is Greg Ezel. I will be your host on this wonderful journey through hot takes and things that'll make you think. And I am joined today by 2/6 of the greatest hockey blog to ever grace the internet. And I'm going to introduce first the master of magistry, Marshall Ochina. Marshall, what's up, man?
1/3. Simplify your fractions, motherfucker.
Listen, this is Trump's America. I don't have to simplify anything.
It's gonna be real fucking simple.
How you doing, man? It's been a long time.
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I think this is my regular season debut on the skate.
I think it is.
I've been Adam McQuaided up on the shelf for a little bit.
But you will bring more than Adam McQuaid can ever bring.
I'll bring the spice. I'll bring the zest.
That's all I'm looking for. And of course, co-founder of Days of Yore, Rob Pizzuto. Rob, a good day, sir.
Good day, gentlemen. How is everybody doing?
I'm doing well.
Marshall, you already answered that, so you don't have to answer it again.
I will. I'm good.
And of course, our guest today, community manager and stats system guy over at Flamesnation and the purveyor of good content on Twitter.com, mikeFAIL. Mike, how are you?
Oh my God, the Johnny Gaudreau injury might actually kill me today.
This might be Mike's last podcast ever.
I'm probably going to retire from hockey blogging after this evening.
Yeah, that was a pretty rough one, and we are definitely going to get into the Calgary Flames later in this podcast because you are sitting with two guys who have ever-loving erections for Dougie Hamilton.
Oh, Douglas Hamilton,
yes.
Maligned human being of Calgary, Alberta right now. I love him, but yeah, he's like public enemy number one right now.
Oh, that poor bastard. He's been public enemy ever since he was drafted in Boston. Like, everywhere he went. Oh, that poor guy.
My poor large adult child. I love him so much.
Oh,
if you're his father, why did you name him Dougie? You should call him by Doug or Douglas.
Just to fuck with him.
If you didn't know, Days of Yore is on Patreon. Head on over to patreon.com/daysofyore, where you can support us as a blog, live our dream of writing about hockey full-time, because you know what? No one's going to pay us because we bring the hot takes and we bring the objective hockey analysis to the people. But we'd like to do it with a little crass, do it a little brash. So please head over there, support us. Hit up the $10 tier. You'll get all of our podcasts early, the Trash Cast, the Optional Skate. And if you don't want to give us any money, you don't have any money to give us, that's fine. Head on over to iTunes, Google Play, or our home base of soundcloud.com/daysofyore, and you can get all the podcasts for free. You can download them. You can listen to them. Download them during Thanksgiving. Don't listen to your shitty family's politics. Listen to us talk about hockey. And guys, since our last podcast, the Bruins are 5-2. Fucking 5-2. So when the season began...
Love your Rask.
When the season began, we all sat around and we were like, the Bruins are going to be fucking garbage. They're not going to make the playoffs. Is it time for us to raise expectations? Marshall, I'm going to start with you.
I think it is. And, I think I've raised my expectations from, the 9th spot in the East to possibly not even a wild card. I think they can make it outright in the division. And they're better than Ottawa. I can tell you that. They're better than Florida. I don't think, there's no way they're better than Montreal. Tampa, who knows how long Stamkos is going to be out for. So I think they're in there. My expectations right now are if this team doesn't win a first-round playoff series, I think that's the failure point. Like, they should be solidly in a playoff spot and can win a first-round series. Anything less than that is, like you said, going into the season, we didn't see that coming at all. But where they are now, the way they've played, the way Tuukka has played, the way the young defense has actually been one of the more surprising bright spots of the team, it's time to up the ante.
I'm going to take the opposite stance and not raise my expectations yet. I always thought that they were a fringe playoff team, and if they got in, they'd be one and done. But, I mean, looking at the teams that they've played, they haven't really beaten a team that makes me feel comfortable with them yet. They lose to Montreal. They lost to the Rangers. They beat teams like Tampa and Florida, who are decent and good, but they're not playing nearly as well as they can. So they haven't sold me yet. Rask has been great. He's going to be the reason they go as far as they go. But I'm still not ready to up my expectations yet. I'm still. What are they right now in a wild card spot? If the playoffs started today, like teetering on that.
They are
Yes.
fourth in the Atlantic right now, but they have one game in hand over a couple of teams.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to end up in a similar situation that we have the last 2 seasons, where they're fighting for a playoff spot in the last few games, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, are they better than Montreal? No. Are they better than Tampa? You don't know. Only because Tampa, we all thought Tampa would kind of lead the division, and they're not. You know, them and Ottawa are tied in points. Boston is right behind them with 20, and Florida is in 5th with 17. So you would think, are they better than Ottawa? Yes. I think Craig Anderson's playing out of his mind, but I don't think it's sustainable at, what's he, 36 now?
Yeah.
30? So I don't know if that's sustainable throughout the season. I think the Lightning are going to be better. I think Montreal is going to at some point come back down to earth. And I think Boston is going to slug it out with Florida. And I think they will, for a while, slug it out with Ottawa. But I think in the end, these guys should be a playoff team. And the expectations was always, I think our expectations was always, they're not going to make it in, but they'll be knocking on the door. But I think now we can raise them to the point where they should make it in. And I think losing in the first round, if they play Montreal in the first round, or if they play like Pittsburgh or Washington, they're going to get destroyed. You know what I mean? So if they come in as the wild card, I think it's pretty much over for them, and to expect them to go into it, because right now they're the second wild card, so they would play the Rangers, and they don't match up well against the Rangers, and I just don't see a way that a first round going into the second round, first round exit as a failure, I think is a little high for this team, but making the playoffs should definitely be on the table the way they're playing. I don't know if you have any thoughts about it, our Western hockey friend.
As a noted Bruins fanboy occasionally, I think I've only caught maybe 1 or 2 games, and it was early on in the season when Marchand was lighting up everybody and burning down every church in every city he visited. But I kind of agree with you guys. I think that if you look at the blue line, yeah, Brandon Carlo and Zdeno Chara seem to be doing all right, and you look at the Pasternak line with Bergeron and Marchand, and they're playing out of this world basically, especially like in a possession standpoint. But even if Tuukka Rask is playing out of his mind like he has been, and the rest of that roster, I kind of had reservations about. I wasn't really a big fan of the David Backes signing, and the second and third pairing situation. I think really outside of what Torrey Krug isn't anything super stellar to write home about. Like, it's better than some teams, but they're also playing in a division where it's kind of, I don't know, like there's a bunch of wild cards, and then the East in general, it seems like the parity between teams is a lot tighter this year early on. I mean, if you look at the West, it's not really close. There's a lot of people a lot of teams that are kind of pulling ahead, and the competition is going to be, between a few teams and outside of that. But I don't really have anything really like, I guess, concise to contribute here other than I am hyping the Penguins. I should probably put that out there.
You'd fit right in with John. John fucking loves the Penguins. Annoyingly loves the Penguins. I
can't help it. I'm responsible for their Stanley Cup victory when I jumped on their bandwagon earlier this year. So I'm bringing my talents over to Pennsburg for a little bit as the Flames sink, and then I don't know. I think that the East is a lot more interesting than years past. That's for sure.
So we're a month in. Is a month in a good measuring stick to where a team is?
I think we're just about there. So go ahead, Piss.
Oh, no, I was going to say I think it is. So, I mean, a month in, and that's how many games? Like
Boston?
15?
Oh, yeah, Boston has played 16 games.
16? Yeah, I think that's a fine enough measuring stick to get an idea for where a team is at.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to see. I mean, the traditional measuring stick is always Thanksgiving, or I have to qualify American Thanksgiving for we got Mike in the house. But I mean, that's coming up next week, so we were just about at the point where we can say, all right, things are starting to fall into place. Like, this is the picture. Obviously injuries change up everything, but I mean, I think we've got a pretty good idea of what the East is looking like. It's shallow enough that I could leave my 2-year-old face down in a pool of it and he'd be fine, because listen, there's 3 legit teams, maybe 4 in the East, and after that it's like, fuck it, you want to play in the playoffs? Sure, you're in.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good thing. I know the Bruins themselves, Cam Neely has said it, that they take American Thanksgiving as the measuring stick. So it's a week away, more or less. So I guess, yeah, this is a good sample size. Any worries though, on the blue line, especially with like guys like Carlo, with, kind of hitting that rookie wall type thing. And I'm kind of worried that if he kind of hits that wall, the rest of the blue line, I don't feel is good enough to kind of carry him. Chara's good enough. Torrey Krug, what the fuck has he been? He's been a disaster. Adam McQuaid's a fucking disaster. Kevin Miller's not even playing yet. He's still hurt. Yeah.
Thankfully. I'm like the fucking fireworks going off every day. Another day that Kevin Miller isn't on the goddamn ice.
So there's the potential that Carlo kind of falls off from what he's doing, and this is all conjecture. Like, this could all be bullshit, and in 2 months he's still playing really good hockey. But there's always the thing that he kind of plateaus, and the rest of the true talent from the rest of the guys kind of shines through from what we saw last year.
I feel like that's been kind of the MO of the Bruins for the past couple of years. Like, they start sturdy, and then as things start to fall apart a little bit on the blue line, people start having to play up minutes they're not used to, play in matchups they can't handle, and that's when things start to fall apart for the Bruins. Obviously, it could happen any year. It's been happening for ever since Boychuk left, basically, since they had a really solid like number 3 defenseman to kind of anchor that second pairing and make sure everything's all right. But I don't know. I mean, the fact that we have to play so many young guys this year actually makes me feel a lot better. It's not a lot of old legs back there. We don't have fucking Civil War era Dennis Seidenberg back on the blue line anymore. They're going to hit a wall. They're not going to play up to the level they're playing at right now, but they've got, they're young kids. They can keep going, and I don't know. I'm excited to see what they can do this year.
No, go ahead, Rob.
No, I was just gonna say, now you've given me the picture of Dennis Seidenberg in like a Union blue coat Civil War uniform.
Seidenberg is clearly on the Confederate side.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they have to play young kids like Carlo and Colin Miller, because we all know Claude fucking hates his young kids, and he brings
Dougie Hamilton.
Oh my God, he fucking hated Dougie Hamilton, and that's why Dougie Hamilton wanted to be traded. And I don't see how people couldn't get that, because he was not a fan of Claude. Claude was clearly not a fan of him.
It sounds like he's getting a lot of love in Calgary now.
It doesn't matter what he does. So there was like a couple sequences last night where he was on the ice in the offensive zone, just doing what Dougie does, which is just dictate pace and drive shots towards the net. And I kind of just searched on Twitter just to kind of see like what was going on with his perception through the game. And people were still beating the drum. They're like, oh, Dougie Hamilton can't do anything right. He's a big pylon out there. And I'm just like, guys, like 45 seconds, he had 3 shots on net. 2 were actually on net. 1 was blocked. And he was like primary pass assist for a couple other shots. He's just doing his thing. And I think like this is kind of an interesting segue to fall into, but I don't think the average fan has an actual understanding of what attributes make up a quality NHL defenseman in this era. Everybody's kind of enamored with like this concept of, they got to be like Zdeno Chara in his prime, right? Big, strong, move the puck, great shot. And, all of those things are wonderful attributes. And then you can look at elements of that in, like, say, an Erik Karlsson, or, you know, somebody who plays a high risk, high up, you know, high reward game like him, or PK Subban, or Dougie Hamilton to a lesser extent. And the minute that, you know, a mistake happens, obviously there's some sort of confirmation bias that high risk, high reward players are not worth your time, and you can't build around them, and they're best suited to be insulated away from situations where they can succeed. And we're kind of seeing that with Dougie Hamilton right now. He's playing, I think his most common pairing mate is Jyrki Jokipaka or Derek England. And yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you hear Derek England, and your first thought is like, is there somebody injured in Calgary that's preventing him from, you know, playing with a suitable line mate? And the answer is no. It's there's this enamorment of left, right, which handedness plays such a massive factor in defensive pairings and, you know, team composition. But Glenn Gulutzan thinks that you can play Derek England, you know, 16, 17, you know, 20 minutes a night, and or Jyrki Jokipaka, and you think that, okay, maybe he's seeing something that isn't there, and maybe it's possible that our perceptions of, you know, what makes up a NHL defenseman are wrong. But in reality, it's, you know, the coach. He's putting Dougie in a situation where he can't succeed. And I was talking with a former NHL employee today, and we were actually discussing certain situations this season that Dougie's been in, and the goals on ice against that he was a part of. And often enough, it just turned out that it was unlucky, or somebody else actually fucked up. And so you get this reputation of, oh, well, he's on ice for a lot of goals against. He's got a really bad plus minus, and you immediately fall into that kind of that hole where it's like, well, maybe he's not that great. You know, maybe the mainstream media are right about this guy, and I think their narrative isn't holding water.
No, I agree. I was watching Flames Wild last night, and I know the exact shift you were talking about, because I was watching it, and you know, some say the Grinch's Dougie boner grew 3 sizes that day. It was, oh my god, it was like, this is what I miss. I miss having that big fucking ginger bastard on the back line just moving the puck and like seeing the ice so much better than anyone we really have right now, even better than Krug. Like, he sees the angles better. He knows where the puck needs to go. I think the best thing he did yesterday was at the end of the first period, where he cross-checked the ever-loving shit out of fucking Mikael Granlund, who had an empty shot at the net at the 20-minute mark. Is like, he has the intelligence. He needs to be on the ice more. That was his big problem here, was that, you know, he wasn't trusted enough to play the big minutes, and it just hindered the shit out of his development. Like, where he could be right now if he had coaches that believed and trusted him, he'd be in the top 10, 20 defensemen in the NHL, I believe.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes to like a risk aversion bias with a lot of NHL coaches. They want to make safe decisions. They want to make safe compositions of pairings or lines and deployments. And you're right. Like, if you take him and you put him in an environment where there's a coach that nurtures and actually respects and acknowledges what strengths exist in his game and finds ways to offset those detriments. And, you know, there are detriments to his game, but the inherent benefits of playing him in those situations means that those opportunities are going to benefit your team more often than not. And like that cross check, I think that was the first time people kind of woke up and realized, okay, like, hey, he has a grasp of the defensive zone. What is going on that isn't, you know, possibly enabling him to maybe make some mistakes? And, you know, they happen, right? Like, every player makes mistakes, but if you look at the Calgary Flames goal differential among other guys like TJ Brody and Mark Giordano, like, it's not that great either. I think as of last night, I think the goal differential at even strengths of 5 versus 5, I think TJ Brody was the second worst on the team. And nobody's discussing that. They're talking about, oh, TJ Brody isn't playing up to snuff. And, you know, that's a fair point, you know, but it's so high level that it's actually it's glossing over the point that TJ Brody's actually making, you know, as many mistakes as Dougie is. But because Dougie has that reputation, they're going to kind of drill down on it. And all this trade rumor stuff is true. Like, the team likely has some, what I was told, buyer's remorse right now, however you want to interpret that. But people are calling, and people should be calling, because if Dougie's available, of course you want to call about getting a top pairing defenseman who can play on your power play and play those big minutes, minutes that he's not getting in Calgary because the coaching staff obviously has a problem with them. And it's concerning because at some point, Mark Giordano is going to regress like every defenseman does. You know, the aging curve hits, and you guys know that very well in Boston, and we're starting to see little elements of it in Calgary, and you could see it across the league with any other defenseman that's been elite for quite a while. And if he drops off this year, he's got that gross contract, but not only that, there's nobody else to play that top pairing with TJ Brody if that's the case. And that just opens an opportunity for, some sort of situation where Dougie can actually get those minutes finally and be successful.
So how much of the struggle from the defensive end is on the guys there or the goaltending, or is it both? Because Brian Elliott's been horrible.
Yeah, well, I horrible. I think you know me pretty well, Greg. Like, I get really, really judgy about semantics. So, like, when you say horrible, like relative to his past performance, yeah, you're right. Like, he's not Brian Elliott, this silent elite goaltender that, just kind of wasted away in St. Louis while their team brought in goalie after goalie to try and usurp him. He hasn't been great, but if you look at the play in front of him, it's really easy to scapegoat a goalie because every goalie is bad when they don't make the save that they're supposed to. And like the caveat to that is like every save is important. So if they don't make a save and a goal goes in, your first assumption is to blame the goalie. Like, it's just like this weird fan mentality that's been fostered into hockey fans for as long as I can remember. And then now, we're starting to see this emergence of, okay, well, hey, what's going on with the team? I know there's quite a few circumstances earlier on in this year where they were on the penalty kill, and Derek England, for some god-awful reasons out there, killing a penalty, and he screens the goalie. And there's countless comments about, Elliott should have saw it. It's like, how can you see it? You've got Derek England in front of you and another player. Like, your sight line is screwed. You can't track the puck. And, he's kind of had a few gimmies at 5 versus 5, and that's fair. Like, he's made a few mistakes. Like, there was a goal where Dougie was on the ice, actually, gave Brian Elliott a clear path to see the shot, and he just didn't get it. And it caught, the city itself and the fan base has already had enough goalie problems over the last few years. Like, we cycled through last year the three-headed beast, which was Jonas Hiller, Kari Ramo, and Yoni Ordio, and everybody got really pissed off about it because there was no stability, and that's an element that created the season, right? But they brought in Brian Elliott and Chad Johnson. Elliott hasn't played as good, but we're likely going to see him regress back to mean, which is a goalie who's above average. And Chad Johnson's played out of his mind in his limited showing this year, and he got the shutout last night after the team completely got cratered by score effects, and the Wild were really pressing all night, and he made some pretty remarkable saves there. But I'm not concerned. I think that the team's PDO, in particular the save percentage that makes up the biggest portion of it, is going to go back to a bit to normal. I mean, I don't think the goals are going to come, but I think that he's going to play lights out or close to for the rest of the season, depending on how things go.
Well, the reason I wanted to, the reason I wanted to ask is because we absolutely know that defense can, a bad defense can really turn people on your goaltender, because it happened last year with Tuukka Rask.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to ask if it was Brian Elliott or if it was the people in front of him or some kind of mix.
It's a combination for sure. I think that if you guys get the opportunity to kind of watch how the Flames play in their own end, it's weird. Like, they're suppressing shots and stuff like that, but like these weird volume scoring chances are happening. I mean, scoring chances being super subjective on how you define it, but it's weird. I think that a combination of guys playing minutes they shouldn't be playing, cough, Derek England, cough, Dennis Weidman when he's in the lineup for some reason playing 20 plus minutes, is a big problem. And then you've got guys like Brett Kulak in the lineup as well, who's a rookie, and he's making mistakes. Like, he made a couple last night, and Chad Johnson had to bail him out. And in a lot of circumstances, if Brian Elliott was in net, depending on how that situation went, it could have been in the back of the net. So it's just two separate entities like coming together causing a problem here.
And now, I know you mentioned that the Flames scoring is an issue, and now Gaudreau is out for 2 months with a broken finger.
At least 4 weeks by the looks of it.
Is there anyone that can come in as maybe not to the same like level that Gaudreau has done, but kind of a group of guys that may be able to match that kind of output in Calgary? Or are they just screwed until he comes back?
I think they were screwed before, and they're definitely screwed right now. And it's weird. Like, if you look at this roster outside of the Gaudreau injury and the Versteeg injury, which is like a really small injury that people kind of glossed over, but it actually adjusted the way that the lines were deployed and the makeup. It is kind of a problem, but Sam Bennett started off pretty great, and then he's kind of teetered off. Troy Brouwer pots in some points here and there. He's not really great. Sean Monahan, who signed a big contract this summer, he's solely dependent on what Johnny Gaudreau can do on the ice. He doesn't drive play on his own. He doesn't really drive shot metrics on his own, and so he really relies on Gaudreau to either enter the zone or be a primary pass guy. And I think they had one of the highest ratios last year in terms of like the passing projects duo work. I know that Allen from what the hell is the Tampa Bay site he writes for? Regardless, Loser Points on Twitter, he graphed it and he showed there was an incredible relationship between Gaudreau and Monahan there, and both of them have sucked this year, to be blunt, and Monahan especially. And so I don't think that Monahan is going to be able to start much as himself unless he's maybe moved to the wing. And you look down at the secondary offense, and yeah, Michael Backlund and Michael Furlick are putting in secondary points, and they're doing it at a pretty decent rate, but you can't rely on those two guys who are playing, tough zone starts to do that heavy lifting. And Matthew Tkachuk has been great, but he's playing on a shutdown line with the two aforementioned Michaels. And even then, like, there's not a whole lot of offense coming right now. And a lot of it might be shooting percentage driven, but a lot of it's coming from, they're not getting scoring chances in the offensive zone, and they're not getting enough shots on net. They're doing great at trying to be a higher percentage team and suppressing shots, but they're not generating anything. And a lot of it comes from the blue line as well, not being able to transition properly from the defensive zone to the offensive zone and get those passes through to get high quality shots on net. And if they kind of rebound a bit, it might be back to normal, but still a considerable part of the offense runs through Gaudreau. And if he's out for 3 or 4 weeks, that's maybe 6, 7, 8 games at least that they're going to struggle. Yeah. And then you still have to deal with that period of him coming back from the injury, which, is a span of, 2, 4, 5 games where he might struggle a bit even further. And then at that point, like, the season's a wash. We're talking, January at that point, if there's a delay, and maybe even into February if he's back to normal. But the season's it's just a toilet.
Oh man, especially in November. That's such a hard thing to go through, knowing that the rest of your season is probably done.
Yeah, and then the biggest thing that Flames fans are starting to do lately is they're calling for firings and things like that. And I think you guys, of course, know the Bruins playing Ottawa so much over the last few years. Dave Cameron being hired to run the Flames power play might have been the stupidest thing that the organization could have done this summer. I mean, Flames fans can rip Glenn Gulutzan all they want, and rightfully, he's made quite a few decisions that are regrettably incorrect. And, he hired a great guy like Paul Gerard from Utica in the AHL to run the penalty kill, and obviously the penalty kill isn't there just yet either. But overall, it's weird. You talk to people kind of close to the team, and they can't tell if it's Treliving or if it's Burke making some weird decisions or weird initiatives, and then you look at what Gulutzan's doing, and it's just it's headache after headache, and it's frustrating because you left the Bob Hartley era of PDO hockey and unsustainable play into this new kind of horizon where it's okay, we got this young coach and he's bringing in some new guys, and okay, maybe we'll give Dave Cameron a chance for a little bit, and then everything falls off right away, and there's this immediate reactionary period where fans are clamoring for Bob Hartley to return, or the results aren't there, therefore clearly it wasn't the coach, and all of these other things. And the contract situation with Gaudreau in the offseason being this massive weight on his shoulders, how can he live up to it? And it's well, he went to the World Cup when he danced around people and broke ankles every night. I'm fairly certain that he took 3 or 4 years off Lucas Sabiza's existence just in one game. And then it's all of these, it's the perfect storm of horrible decision making and weird decisions, and it's fine. It'll be okay eventually. I'll keep telling.
where do you think? Do you think Dougie Hamilton gets traded?
I want to say no, but if there's one thing I know about this league, and we saw it in June with Taylor Hall getting traded and PK Subban getting traded and Steven Stamkos not leaving Tampa, and it's like you don't want to say no because we're only privy to so much. Obviously, like we have an observational bias as fans and as people who blog and analyze the sport we love, and so you want to say, okay, well, no, they're not that stupid, but NHL management again and again tends to disprove that in the sense that they get fed up with their best players because they might not be playing a particular way or producing at a certain expectation that might be unfairly set or fairly set, and they make decisions that might not be fully rationalized and logical, and they'll do things that they inevitably regret. Like Peter Chiarelli probably should regret trading the Taylor and Tyler historically. Like when it's all said and done with his career, he probably will look back and regret it because the decisions that he's made might not be the most logical. They might have been logical at the time, but in the long term, they're not going to play out. And let's say they trade Dougie Hamilton and they get the return of like some sort of defenseman who plays a particular brand or perceived brand of hockey, or they get a right winger finally to play on that top line. At best, it's a lateral move, at best. But then you still have that void. Who is going to step in to play Mark Giordano's minutes when the diminishing returns of the age curve hit, right? They've got guys in the system that are years away, but as far as I can see right now, they have no option. And so, like, if you're going to try and fill a hole by selling low on a player that has high value and high upside, it just doesn't make any sense from a business standpoint because from a fan perspective, they're going to perceive that as, okay, oh, wow, they're getting rid of this guy who might have been struggling. But what it says is, can you really trust management with, the rest of these guys that should be part of the core? And I guess what I'm getting at is, like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, right now, he struggled at the beginning of last season because he wasn't getting played and he was trying to adjust to Bob Hartley hockey. He found his game. Everything was fine. And now it's like this cycle again of another coach struggling to get him into the game because of some sort of bias or various reasons that they can't get around. And if you're going to try and trade a guy who can play in the top pairing and play in your top power play unit over this, rather than trying to find a solution internally, then I think the concerns then go from the player to the organization.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And we saw it. I mean, we've seen it in Boston many times.
Yeah, we watched in the span of 3 years Tyler Seguin and Dougie Hamilton get traded. I mean, you'd like to think that NHL management can't be that stupid, but they can be that stupid.
Yeah,
the Bruins have won one playoff series since Tyler Seguin left. One.
Exactly. And maybe being stupid is like the wrong adjective, or even the verb, but it's just like it's all a measure of biases, right? They see certain things a certain way. Like, is this guy playing this brand of hockey? And it's frustrating because it shouldn't come down to that. It should come down to assembling the best roster with the high skill level that you can. But we always know that's not that's not what's going to happen. You see world-class coaches like Mike Babcock, for example, and Claude Julien's a world-class coach. Like, I like what he does, but he has extremely visible biases in what he's looking for. And if you don't meet the criteria, you're going to suffer. And it's not always the right thing. And I guess, like, you could play the hypothetical. It's like, okay, if they kept Dougie Hamilton and they kept Tyler Seguin, is it possible they could have had more success? Yeah, probably. They probably would have offset a lot of the deficiencies, but it's impossible to say whether or not there would have been other issues that could have been contributing to poor results, or maybe there was other issues that were contributing that could actually crater hypothetical results with those two players.
Yeah, it's kind of a shit show in Calgary.
It's fine. We'll get over it. I mean, I think we can all agree that at least we're not Vancouver. Like, both the Bruins and the Flames are not as bad as Vancouver, and that makes me sleep at night.
There was a point in time when people wanted Jim Benning as the GM of the Boston Bruins. So thank God they skirted that.
Not me. No, not me.
Both our teams actually avoided that. Wow. Because he interviewed in Calgary, if I'm not mistaken, and I think he got 2 interviews.
Yeah, he is. I don't know. Vancouver's a mess. It's a mess. An absolute tire fire. American Thanksgiving coming up in a week. I can't fucking wait. I cannot wait. We wanted to talk about the Boston Bruins as Thanksgiving food. So this is going to replace that 3 up, 3 down. We are going to talk about Thanksgiving food and compare them to the Boston Bruins. So Marshall, you brought this up. I want you to tell me who you got. Let's go food by food. So we'll go with one food, go around the group.
Zdeno Chara is the gobbles of the Boston Bruins. He may have been, a lot of people look elsewhere to see who's the big star of this team. I still think Zdeno is everything. He's the reason that holds it all together. Turkey is why we're there. You know, you have your flashy side dishes, you have your mac and cheese, you have your sweet potato pie. Turkey's what we're there for. Turkey gets the job done. Big Z is still the turkey at the table.
So Marshall actually had the same exact idea that I did. I was going with turkey for Chara. Slightly different reasoning though. I'm thinking when you're a kid, when you're younger, when you still have hope in your eyes. Turkey is what you look forward to on Thanksgiving. That's what you always go for. But as you get a little bit older, some of those other side dishes, like Marshall said, the mac and cheese. Which you have mac and cheese on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, Greg made it for Deez Dior giving last year, and it was delicious.
Oh, well, no, I didn't.
I sure did. I can't wait to make it again. I can't wait to make it again.
But you have your side dishes, and I think as you get a little bit older, you start to appreciate those a little bit more and sort of lose interest in Chara. But he's always there, and he does his job. It's just not as fulfilling as it once was.
So when I thought about this, my turkey was Patrice Bergeron. And the reason Patrice Bergeron is my turkey is because no matter what happens in Thanksgiving, there is always one constant, and that's turkey. And much like the Boston Bruins, no matter what happens around the team, there is always one constant. And that is the elite level of play that Patrice Bergeron brings to the ice. And when you think about Thanksgiving, you think about turkey. You think about, I would say turkey is the star of Thanksgiving. So that's why I gave Patrice Bergeron the turkey, because I believe, and all Boston Bruins fans probably believe, that Patrice Bergeron is the star of the Bruins itself. So that was that's my turkey take as a Boston Bruin. What is next on the list?
All right, well, since you're talking about Bergeron, I'll go to Bergeron next, and I'm gonna choose Patrice Bergeron is my gravy because he makes everything better. There is nothing on this team that isn't improved by playing with Patrice Bergeron. Look at the Wowie numbers. Fucking Wowie Shazowie. Fucking Patrice Bergeron is the gravy. He makes the potatoes better. He makes the turkey better. He makes the stuffing better. Everything is better with just a little delicate, rich Patrice Bergeron.
Marshall, you son of a bitch. Though I'm going slightly different. I had Patrice Bergeron as my cranberry sauce for the same reasons. I put that shit on everything. I put it on my turkey, my mashed potatoes, my stuffing. I mix it in with everything. I don't like gravy. I don't like that sloppy crap covering up my food.
So would Adam McQuaid be your gravy?
Oh.
No, Adam McQuaid would be my fucking tofurkey.
So who on the team would be your gravy?
With gravy? If McQuaid is my tofurkey, I gotta give my for this year it's Jimmy Hayes. Jimmy Hayes is my gravy because I don't want him anywhere near my team. I don't want gravy anywhere near my food.
See, for gravy, I had Zdeno Chara because, much like Marshall said, gravy makes everything much better. So Zdeno Chara, yes, a little older, but you've seen that he, despite being a million years old, has kind of stabilized Brandon Carlo and kind of helped bring him along. If Brandon Carlo is, let's say he's mashed potatoes. I'm not saying he is, but if he's mashed potatoes, Zdeno Chara is the gravy that brings him to the next level. So that's why I had Zdeno Chara as my gravy my gravy train, if you will. Let's take the next. What's the next food you got?
Now, here's again where Piz and I are going to have to completely disagree on stuff again, much like Piz's horrible opinions about how Paul Rudd is not the greatest actor in the planet, and brunch is not the greatest meal in the week.
Brunch
it's the best.
Sham.
Brunch is
Sham.
the greatest, and it's an excuse to get drunk with eggs, Piz. How can you
don't
not
need an
co-sign that?
excuse.
Kegs and eggs.
Kegs and eggs. My cranberry sauce is both Kevin Miller and Adam McQuaid.
Oh
Oh,
shit!
you
Because
fool.
listen, cranberry sauce, you get so excited about it, and the Bruins fans, they get, oh, fucking Kevin Miller. He's Kevin Miller, McQuaid. They're going to punch some dudes in the face, and it's going to be fucking Bruins hockey. But then you take one little bite of cranberry sauce, and you go, oh my god, this shit is awful. Why am I excited for this fucking side dish again? Kevin Miller is like the homemade nice cranberry sauce that's like a little bit better because someone put some love into it. Adam McQuaid is that fucking canned ocean spray jellied bullshit
I love that shit.
that is just fucking. It's not food. It's not food, and Adam McQuaid is not an NHL defenseman. Let's fucking get over this. Next food dish, Piz.
Well, since Greg brought it up, let's go with mashed potatoes. It's always a staple on Thanksgiving. Mashed potatoes, I think, next to the cranberry sauce, is one of the best parts of Thanksgiving and the turkey. My mashed potato is going to be Brad Marchand. I want super extra helpings of Brad Marchand this year, and I always scoop that shit onto my plate like potato, like it's the goddamn potato famine. So Marchand is my mashed potatoes.
My mashed potatoes, David Pasternak. Because, much like mashed potatoes, see, I think mashed potatoes is definitely a staple, but I think, it depends on the person you're talking to. Because I don't think everyone's on the mashed potato train, which I think is wrong. You should be on the mashed potato train. And I think a little bit. But I think there's people that aren't on the David Pasternak train. I don't want to meet these people because I think they're fucking out of their minds. But I would say David Pasternak, my mashed potatoes.
I have Brad Marchand as my stuffing muffins.
I fucking love
Because
stuffing muffins.
are objectively better than regular stuffing in every fucking
Oh
way.
my god, I love
And you think
that.
and this is like the outside perception of 63 over the few years is like, oh, he's just this dirty fucking rat. I don't want anything to do with him. People come to your Thanksgiving table and go, what the fuck is a stuffing muffin? I don't want that. And then you get a little bit of it. You see
So good.
you see Marchand at the World Cup of Hockey where he's the greatest thing on ice, and like people are waking up and just going, it's been right in front of me this whole time. Like how have I neglected you? Get in my mouth, you little stuffing muffin. You perfectly little pint-sized serving of just perfect Thanksgiving wholesomeness.
It's great.
I've never even heard of a
Oh
stuffing
my god,
muffin.
I love
We
the.
had them at my house, Piz.
I love the stuffing muffin.
You did?
How drunk were you last year?
I wasn't.
He wasn't. He wasn't there. Wait, you were there, right?
I was there.
Yeah. Then stuffing muffins were there.
Shit.
Oh.
Oh my god, I love them
Okay.
so much.
I probably ate them.
They're like it's the best thing about the stuffing because the stuffing isn't fucking everywhere. It's in this nice compact little muffin, and it's amazing. My stuffing, I didn't have stuffing muffins, but I had stuffing, and my stuffing is Brad Marchand. 2 reasons. One, it's inside the turkey, and I'm pretty sure Brad Marchand would love to be inside Patrice Bergeron at some point in his life. And 2, when you think of Thanksgiving, you think of turkey, then you think of stuffing. And when you think of the Bruins, you think of especially you think of Patrice Bergeron, you then think of Brad Marchand. So it's the perfect complement to the turkey, just like Marchand's the perfect complement to Bergeron.
My stuffing was Krejci, and the reason why I had Krejci as a stuffing is that stuffing always needs to be paired with something. It just does nothing for me on its own. And much like Krejci, who needs to have somebody there, the stuffing needs to be paired. So
You want to know why? Because you've never had it in muffin form. Having a muffin form.
With a
Well,
little
apparently
fucking-
I have.
with a little gravy on top, Piz.
ugh, hell out of here with that gravy.
All right, I am going to bring up, now you can do sweet potato pie or just sweet potatoes. So my sweet potato, was Tuukka Rask, and that's because I feel a lot of people don't like sweet potatoes, but there's a lot of people out there that do, and the people that don't like sweet potatoes because they don't understand sweet potatoes, much like the people that don't like Tuukka Rask don't really understand goaltending. And I think it's an underrated dish at Thanksgiving, just like I shouldn't think, but I think Tuukka Rask in this city, incredibly underrated, the way people just shit all over him. So Tuukka Rask is my sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes are garbage. Don Sweeney.
Well, Marshall, we do agree on something. Sweet potatoes are ass. If I'm to assign them to a player, I don't even know, Joe Morrow.
I have fucking awful Thanksgiving takes, apparently. I have really bad Thanksgiving takes. All right, someone else name something. What do you have left on your list there, Marshall?
I got one thing left on my list, and it is that David Backes is corn because you can turn corn into grits, and David Backes is gritty. And we love our gritty players in Boston, except I fucking hate them. Because you fucking pay a fucking wrecking ball that kind of money, whatever. It's fine.
Piz, any more Thanksgiving foods that you can come up with?
What about dessert? We talked about dessert? Because I had
Let's talk
Raskin
about
as dessert because he's those.
Because you're so sweet on him.
I almost
sweet.
said I was trying to say that he was so sweet, but that didn't really make sense.
He is. I'll
No.
vouch for it. Genuinely beautiful human being.
He does have those locks, just those curly locks.
Like dessert as a whole, or like pumpkin pie, or just like the idea of dessert.
I see. I was going with dessert as a whole because I figure everybody has different
That's true.
desserts.
That's true.
Yeah, we can't get into dessert takes. We'll be at each other's throats.
Yeah, it'll be fucking madness. Also, I just want to mention your corn take. I am gonna say it's Adam McQuaid because he doesn't bring anything to the table, and then when you, just like corn, when you eat it and you take a shit, you shit out the corn kernels. Adam McQuaid is just shit.
But I'm excited to see the kernels of corn in my shit the next morning. Like, oh my
That's
god,
true.
corn! I forgot.
Oh, I ate corn last
Trust me,
night.
I will never forget seeing Adam McQuaid on the ice ever because it fucking gives me food poisoning.
All right, last one. Hockey Hall of Fame. Gentlemen, why isn't Mark Recchi in the Hall of Fame yet?
It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit that Mark Recchi's not in the Hall of Fame. He's fucking 12th all time in scoring. Like, no matter what, like, he's fucking 12th all time in scoring. In fucking 21 seasons, the only times he missed the playoffs were his first run in Philly, which is fucking Philly, and his one season in Atlanta. He made the playoffs every other year in his career, won the cup 3 times with 3 different teams. You came into the league, won the cup, and left the league, won the cup. It's just like it makes no sense that Recchi's not in. Obviously, he's not the first name of next year. Solani is obviously first top of the ballot next year, but he's got to be in next year, right? I mean, now that Lindros is in, he's clearly the most glaring omission in the Hall of Fame.
I'm a little surprised Eric Lindros made it in over, before a guy like Recchi made it in. Because Lindros only has, Lindros is like a point per game player, which is good. But Recchi has, 1,500 points in 1,600 games. Like, he's right there, too. I don't know. I think it's bullshit. I think he should be in right away because even in Boston at 42 years old, the guy almost put up 50 fucking points. And he put in 14 goals, and he was big for them winning. He was big for them winning the Stanley Cup that year.
Yeah, he had 14 points in that cup run.
Yeah, it was just I don't understand it. I do not understand why he's not in.
And not that this is even considered in the Hall of Fame balloting and voting, but the intangibles that he brought to every team is just and I normally hate that word, but it applies with him. It can't be overstated. Just what a presence he is for. I'm going on the Bruins and that Stanley Cup run and even the years surrounding it, but yeah, it's a crime that he's not in the Hall of Fame right now.
Well, like if you look at Eric Lindros, he's played. He only played in 760 games, and that's obviously injury related. The guy was a fucking walking concussion. But Mark Recchi, 1,652 games, 1,652 games played, 577 goals, 1,533 points. Like, why is this guy not in yet?
I mean, I think the only knock that people have ever had against Frankie is that he was never like at the top of the league. Like for the incredible longevity he had, he was never like the guy. You know, he on those Pittsburgh teams, he was behind Lemieux and Yager. Yeah, he had. I think he never finished higher. I don't think he ever finished in the top 5 of Hart Trophy voting. I think he got 6th one year. I think is the highest he ever got. But I mean, to do what he did for as long as he did at such a consistent level, it's a no-brainer.
I mean, I don't know. I don't understand how a guy doesn't get in when he's had 300-plus point seasons. Granted, one was on that 90-91 Pittsburgh team that was just a fucking wrecking ball. But he's still in Philly. In 92, he had 123 points. In 93 in Philly, he had 107 points. He flirted with 100 points in Philly again in 99 at 31 years old. Like, he was very productive in his career, and for him not to be in it is a shame. It's a pure shame, and that could just be my Bruins bias, but he's one of the best players in the NHL, period. And for him not to be in it's bullshit. I agree. It's total bullshit. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Optional Skate. We want to thank mikeFAIL from Flamesnation for joining us. Mike, thank you so much.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for having me on and working with my schedule here. I'm a big fan of podcasts. I love what you guys do.
So where can the good people find you on Twitter?
You can find me at mikeFAIL, all one word, mikeFAIL, just as it sounds. I'm also at Flamesnation, at Flamesnation or flamesnation.ca. I run the Twitter account. I do all the social media. I do all the good content that all the people love on the internet. I am that guy.
Marshall, what about you? Where can the good people find you?
They can find me at DOY Marshall. They can read. I mean, I might say something about hockey every now and then. I'm usually going to talk about the horrible things my kids do and my incredibly awesome hip-hop takes.
They are pretty good hip-hop takes, I must say. They are pretty great hip-hop takes. And Piz, what about you?
I can be found on Twitter at RobPizDOY. That's 2 B's on Rob and 2 Z's on Piz.
And if for some reason you want to waste your time following me on Twitter, I am at PezDOY. And you can follow us as a group at Days of Yore. Gentlemen, thank you so much. That was wonderful. We will see everyone next time. Bye.